Yo, what's up? Today's information is going to help you improve your gameplay immensely, and it's the 5 most underrated things in Enlisted. Now, these things are either misunderstood, underrated, or misapplied in general, and knowing and understanding them very well is going to help you a lot. So, let's start with the possibly most underrated one with a wide margin. It's teamwork. Now, Enlisted being a game that's played by mostly nerds, with mostly very limited social skills, leads to the following problem. These types of people completely misunderstand social interactions and social synergy. And I think if I just go full autist and just get better and better and better and get my KD up, I'm gonna be so good that nothing else matters. And that's how you play this game. Well, let's disprove this mathematically first and then jump into how to get extremely good with actually applying teamwork. Now, if you look at Counter-Strike, which is a 5 versus 5 game, look at the teams who win the tournaments. Are they the teams who consist of the best players in the world? Because it's quite easy to see who are the best 10 players in the world in that game at any moment. Rarely, most of the time, it's a random team that has good players, but by far not the absolutely best in the world. But they have better team coordination, better strategies, and better preparation for how to outplay all the superstar teams. This is how you win, with strategy. The same thing as with war. War is not a schlong measuring contest of who has the strongest army and he wins automatically. No, that's not how it works. Now, if you look at Enlisted isn't 5 versus 5, it's 10 versus 10. And every player has a bunch of soldiers under his command, let's say 5 on average. So it's 50 versus 50. So the soldier that you actually play is only 1 out of 50. So it's 2% of the actual battlefield biomass. Now guess how much of an impact that is? Not that much, especially if you learn how to use your bots passively to make them even deadlier. Spoiler alert for the next points. So yeah, never underestimate how extremely important teamwork is, and never overestimate the impact of one single player, no matter how inferior good he may be. Now here's how you improve your teamwork. First of all, you want to optimize your information flow. For that purpose, you need to talk with other people and also find other people. Now, if you're lacking other people to play with, get into a major McDonald's server that I linked in the pinned comment, and there you will find lots of nice people. I can guarantee the best people in the community in terms of how good they play and in terms of how well-mannered they are. And you will notice that once you organize with other people, the whole game changes. Because instead of running around and thinking and having lots of variables, for those people who actually really think about the game when they play it, you will have less access, less variables, and much more clarity. And the more clarity you have, the more you understand, the better you can plan. And once you can actually start planning ahead, you can do moves and plays that are usually impossible. For example, if you're playing, let's say in a 4-stack, very simple, and you're talking to each other in Discord, since no one uses the game voice channels, which actually exist, but A, they are bugged, and B, most people don't even know they exist. So yeah, just go to Discord, which is much better anyway than any other software I know. Now, once you start talking to other people during the game, you can constantly get calls. For example, I recommend limiting any other type of speech to a minimum, unless the game is so easy or you just don't care about the game that you talk about other stuff. But if you want to really be really good or even improve, try to be as good as possible. This means you want to have no noise, so no talking that doesn't help, and instead high maximum information talking, meaning someone sees something important, he tells to the team. For example, you are spread out. First of all, you tell everyone where you are. By the way, this is going to help players extremely, so listen well. It can be a bit boring, but this is exactly the hot sauce that's gonna make your engine really run well. First of all, you need to know where you are on the map. If there are 2 objectives, everyone needs to tell where he is. And here's the biggest mistake most people do, especially some autistic nerds. They think, oh, why don't you look on the map? You can get this information on the map. I won't open my mouth for that. Now here's the thing, big boy. Information has to be fast and clear and high impact. Everything that goes against these three principles is failed in communication. The most important thing in a shooter game obviously is speed. You want to have speed advantages over other enemies, and you can't just improve your speed, your aim speed by too much. You can't improve your internet connection since there are limits, but you can get anticipation speed advantages, meaning if you know where something is going on by a teammate, you get information that you otherwise wouldn't get, and you get it much earlier and even earlier than your enemies possibly would get. And this is how you can outplay your enemy by lots of time. If someone tells you someone is coming behind a wall, you can already expect him to be there. You can even start cooking a grenade. If someone tells you, oh, he's like 5 seconds away from you, alright, you start cooking a grenade. Grenades explode after 6.5 seconds. And you start cooking it, and then 1.5 seconds before it explodes, you peek behind the wall, throw it, and tada, you get the whole squad killed. Stuff like that is completely impossible to do when you're playing alone. And also when you're playing with idiots. But if you're playing with people who are adults in their mind and can actually coordinate, this gets possible. So first rule is, ignore the map. Map is too slow. I rarely use the mini map on the left side, only to see if there's a red circle for artillery or not. Besides that, it's literally too small to understand anything. And it's distracting. If you're during a fight, you can't check the map. Checking a map is literally too slow. What you want is, you want fast information flow. Whenever something happens, your teammates need to tell, and then everyone instantly knows. Another mistake people do is, when they say something's going on, for example, a tank. Alright, I know there's a tank. Now, what type of tank? You need to say which type of tank, so we know, is it a dangerous one or not? Is he hard to kill or not? Does he have a strong cannon or not? Can it penetrate our tanks or not? Does it have good high explosive shells or not? And most importantly, where exactly is he? And people literally, and I notice it with many new people, they literally never tell where it is. They only say tank is here. Now, where the fuck is here? You obviously need to put, like a vector, intensity to a direction. In this case, you need to put the information, the qualitative information, with a local information. So where is it? The easiest thing is to say left or right on the map. This is already better than saying nothing, left, right, or center. Better is saying left side behind the objective, or behind a wall, or right side of a house, or something like that. So saying this is extremely helpful. And once again, marking stuff, yes, of course, if possible, also mark it, but it rarely helps. It rarely helps. First of all, if someone needs to check up stuff on a map, once again, it's bad. If someone is 100 meters behind the area where this target, for example, a tank is, and there are houses between you, you literally don't know where he exactly is. He could be anywhere in between these 100 meters. Yeah, so just always give the information where something is exactly, and then, once again, your team plays much faster. And much faster playing is the same thing as just having a bigger team, or it's just the same thing as playing basically with cheats, because if you say, let's say you're having 20% more performance during every single minute, because you know more what's going on and you know what's happening and you can do better and precise attacks, congratulations, you become unbeatable. Because no team no composition of 10 players in the world is going to defeat you if you have 20% advantages. And it works this way in basically every game. So this is extremely important. So you want to always make clear to the team at any time where something is going on, where enemies are attacking, where you assume a rally point from the enemies might be, also where you might have built rallies, so your teammates know where to not build one or where to build one. Also where you possibly barbed or mined. For example, you're running around away and you say, oh, I drop a mine here. So your teammates know, alright, I don't need to mine this road, I'm gonna mine another road. Yeah, very simple. Or whenever a flamethrower is running around, all very important to tell to the team, because flamethrowers, if they're not stopped, are extremely dangerous. And stupid players, they go to the forum and complain and whine about flamethrowers. Now good players think about how to outplay them, and the easiest way to outplay them is to have information and to actually know where a flamer is, so you can run away, get on distance, and then start taking countermeasures, which I'm going to explain in another video, how to specifically defeat flamethrowers, because they are really hard for many people. But the most important thing is to know where a flamethrower is and make sure, right, can I use a grenade launcher from far away? Can I use a grenade? Can I use any type of weapon? Because you don't want to get close to a flamethrower, because it's instant death. Same thing is, does an enemy team have HMGs, heavy machine gun nests, somewhere placed? Also a problem. Or did anyone build an anti-tank gun? Because most tanks in the game are actually vulnerable to anti-tank guns. If you already see an anti-tank gun somewhere, and you even can understand and estimate which part of the map it overlooks, tell it to your teammates. Because guess what? If a tanker needs to find out this information himself, he's going to be in a very bad time. So this is very important. And plane gaming in Enlisted is extremely dependent on information flow. Because first of all, more than half of the time people take planes. It's very stupid, because this is why many times they lose games. As infantry, they would be much better. So the first question is someone needed on the ground, or where is someone needed? This is already extremely helpful to the team. And this is already more important and more impactful to winning than allegedly playing well or having a great KD. Because knowing where you need to be is already half of the won battle. Secondly, for planes especially, there are oftentimes situations where you can bomb a group of enemies and you see, alright, I can get 10 kills with a bombing, but then you're out of commission for around 30 seconds and you can't do much. Now what if your teammates need to get their asses saved on an objective? Even if you only get 5 kills, if it prevents a capping, or if it gives your team more time to get on the objective and actually defend it and fortify it, or if you can cap an objective this way, especially for attackers, it's worth much more to kill possibly 5 defenders and help your team cap the objective than getting 20 kills yourself, but your team still can't cap, and then the game goes on for 2-3 minutes and you lose 200 more lives. Yeah, so, and you lose the game because of that. So good coordination, extremely important. And since as a plane you barely can see anything on the ground, getting information from the ground is absolutely crucial, as it is in real life. In real life, no plane just flies around and tries to find targets. This is the most stupid way of using planes. And even in World War I, when they were used for the first time in war, they always got clear instructions from the ground, and they always had communication about what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Because coordination, once again, extremely important. Tanks rely a bit less on coordination, because tanks are actually super fast. They can shoot constantly. They can output damage constantly. So if you mess up 2 shots, doesn't matter. You just wait 5 seconds and you do more shots. But planes, due to the fact that they have very, very low recycle rates, reload times for their bombs, it's very crucial to have as much impactful, not as many kills as possible, but to have as much impactful bombings than possible. Now another thing is, regarding marks for planes, well, I recommend everyone, as I said in many videos, getting auto marking. So whenever you shoot somewhere, the game automatically marks where you shot. This is extremely strong, extremely strong. Also makes your bots better because they always know where to aim. But make sure that you still have the V button specifically activated, so you, when you're flying around, can mark rounds. Now you can spam your V button around the map. Also, if you're in a tank or even a normal soldier, just spam the V button around the whole map where you can see something. And if you're lucky, or if you anticipate well, meaning if you play the game well, you can find tanks this way. And this is absolutely crucial, since this is going to give you the first shot, which usually wins tank fights. And doing this in a whole game just completely turns over the game to your favor. Now, this doesn't work though always. And many times, especially against good players where you actually need to play well, your team needs to give you information as a tanker where something is going on, or where a plane needs to bomb, or where tanks are on the ground. So marking for your teammates and also telling them something is there, extremely important. Once again, when a plane is far away in the sky, like 2 kilometers, the whole objective plus everything that's marked is basically a little dot. So all of these marks don't help, because he can't distinguish anything. And especially for this player, for this pilot, you once again need to specify where something is. because the mark literally doesn't help. But if the pilot knows, because he got told, alright, enemies are coming from the left side in the gray zone, meaning enemy gray zone, obviously they won't come from your gray zone. He knows, alright, I have to turn my angle, fly in a circle, half circle, and attack from the left 90 degrees. Now, if he has this information 20 seconds before he gets to the objective, he can perfectly align himself and get a perfect bombing, and you get an extreme advantage. If he doesn't get that information, his bombing will be very mediocre at best. So, once again, very important to give clear instructions and clear information. And the last advantage of good teamwork is that you actually have more fun in your games. Because instead of getting randomly blown up by random mines that were spread around an area that your teammate could have told you before, or driving over an anti-tank mine with your tank that your teammate could have seen, or if your teammate knows it, or you just tell him, alright, check the road, I'm gonna spawn in a tank, check the road for me, and just shoot up all the anti-tank mines so I don't get blown up. This is extremely helpful, yeah. And also so you don't get blown up by random snipers or other nonsense. Information just helps. You're gonna have much more fun playing, and also the social aspect of playing with other people together, very much fun. Number 2 of the most underrated things in Enlisted is map knowledge. Now, the best example I can give you is whenever there's a new complicated map coming out and I don't know it, I literally have around half of the impact, I would say, that I have usual. But once I know a map well, it doubles at least. And if I know a map very well, it just goes basically to undefeatable. On some maps, if you know the map well, if the teams are even remotely balanced, you're just gonna win every single game. Because map knowledge is so much important. Now here's the thing. There are some big advantages you get from knowing a map really well. The possibly biggest is knowing from where the enemies are coming and from where you are spawning. Now if you know from where you are spawning and the enemies are coming, you instantly get information where to place your rally points, so the enemies don't see them and don't find them that easily. This is already a big advantage. Secondly, if you have a map like, let's say, Le Brest in Normandy, and you're in the city or in the village, and there are lots of roads, and if you don't know where the enemies are coming from, you will possibly place a rally point that looks very good and close, but the enemies are going to see you spawn and they're going to shoot you. Or gray zone tanks from the enemies are going to see you. Now if you know where the enemy tanks are coming from, you can avoid this. If you don't know it, once again, a big problem. So you want to know where the enemies are coming from. This is easily done by playing the other faction. Or if it's a campaign where you play both sides, then you also get this feature automatically. Or you just ask other players. Or you just ask, or you just watch replays, or you just watch the full games that I upload, and you also see where everyone's coming from. It's extremely helpful. Then you want to anticipate where enemies are gonna be once objectives change. On some maps it's quite easy if they're very linear. On other maps it can be completely complicated. And specific knowledge for that is really, really useful. For example, if you're playing Wilhelmstraße in Berlin and it's the first objective on the bridge, you know the next objective is straight behind the bridge. Alright, that's simple, it's a straight line here. But even here, if you know all of the tanks are spawning behind the bridge, you can already preemptively drop some anti-tank mines on the bridge. But what if they all used up the mines or the enemies blow them up? Well, after the bridge there are 2 roads. Now, which road do the tanks take? Once again, you want to have map knowledge. And if you play this map quite a lot, you will know around 90% of the time they're going to take the left road, rarely the right road. And once again, you know, alright, I want to place my mines there. Also, you want to know where the enemies put their rally points. Because if you know where they spawn, you know, alright, they are spawning very badly. Alright, they have to build rally points. Alright, they want to build close rally points, which are also hidden. Okay, where are the spots where they can hide them? In a map like Wilhelmstraße, once again, it's very, very tricky because there are literally dozens of good points. And I don't know them, I don't even know them all myself. All I do is I always run around the walls and I find them, inevitably. But, well, sometimes very rarely I got completely outplayed. And it was always the case where enemies built some ridiculously nice hidden rally points in the houses and I couldn't find them. And then you think you defend well and then suddenly 30 Soviets attack you, because they're also coordinated in a 4 stack, and waited until everyone spawned and they instantly attack, which is also another reason you want teamwork, by the way, so you can focus your mass to attack in a short time. You can attack for 1 hour straight with one squad every minute, it won't capture an objective. But if you attack one objective at one point in time with 4 squads, most of the time you overwhelm the defenders and you're going to cap it. So focusing forces only possible with teamwork, but also only possible with map knowledge. Because if you don't even know how to maneuver around the map and how the enemy maneuvers around the map, it's going to be hard. And you see, the theme of good and smart play is always knowing what the enemy is doing. So don't constantly think about what you're going to do, but always have in mind what the enemy is doing. If you constantly think about it, it's gonna get automatic, and your brain is automatically always gonna incorporate data about your enemy's behavior. Because as in real war, you don't just plan what you're doing, you always need to know what your enemy is doing. So you can avoid crushing into a situation where you're gonna get destroyed. Same thing for maps. There are some spots, for example, Voskot settlement in Moscow, perfect example. There are some objectives that you absolutely can't defend or can't attack well. And you need to really get tricky and completely just outmaneuver enemies and sometimes crawl into the gray zone and attack from behind, because otherwise you won't make it. And if you don't know this, you can sometimes play a map for months and almost always lose on a specific objective because you didn't know that. So yeah, really, really important. Another big advantage of knowing where enemies are naturally spawning after they, as attackers, kept an objective and you retreated, is that you can already prepare their pathways so they don't have it as comfortable. Meaning, for example, once again in Wilhelmstrasse, once the attackers kept the first objective, they are spawning under the bridge, straight under the bridge on the end of the road or the end of the bridge. This means you can, as a defender, once you lost or once you're about to lose your objective, completely barbed wire this area. Now, if two players coordinate themselves to spam both 10 barbed wire under the bridge, your whole enemy is gonna spawn there, and you're gonna have infinite time because it's gonna take them a lot to get out of this barbed wire, and they're gonna all basically die after the first 3, 4, 5 spawns, and it's gonna annoy the hell out of them. And this type of counterplay is only possible if you, once again, if you know where they're gonna spawn. The sad thing is, I personally don't know every single spawn point in the game. I know quite a few only, and the game definitely should release some data because every game does it. Like, why the hell don't we know where your spawner spawn? Also, especially for the interest of new players, you always should, if you look on a map, should have depicted where your next objective is going to be. Because especially as a defender, you need to know where you're retreating. Now, for those who say, oh, this is a dick move, you can't spawn the enemy, you can't barbed wire the enemy spawn area. Once again, this only works against bad players, like 95% of our players, because they can easily outplay this before they capture this objective. Shortly before they do it, just build a rally point on the other side of the road. And you're gonna spawn on this rally instead of the natural spawn. Congratulations. And if 2 or 3 players do it, they won't even spawn on the natural spawn. By the way, general way to improve your games immensely and skyrocket your win rate, you basically never want to spawn in the natural spawn. You always want to spawn on rally points, because natural spawn, if you're lucky, is 100 meters away. If you're unlucky, it's 250 meters away. So spawning on natural spawns is ridiculously long. It takes infinite time, and if enemies prepared it even remotely well, you can't do anything about it. So yeah, always make sure to know where something like that happens. Or another thing is, even if you don't barbed wire the areas, you can build heavy machine gun nests and handguns and other stuff, or place your snipers and your tanks in a way that you know where the enemies are coming from once they spawn naturally, and you can start shooting them up. And once again, they can't complain about it because it only works if they don't build rallies. So people just need to build rallies, and they can just save their nerd rage and build rallies, and stuff like that doesn't work. So if this works, it literally only works against people who deserve it. It never works against people who actually don't deserve it. So it's the definition of a fair strategy. For the end, we have 3 fast points that are quite easy to understand, not as complicated as the ones before, but still very important to know. and we start with the bolt action rifles. Now they are underrated for 3 reasons. First of all, they, no matter how low you are in a campaign, no matter how strong the enemy players are and their equipment, you can always one-shot them on most direct distances. This means, use this to your advantage. People constantly complain, oh, my enemy has PPSHs, oh, my enemy has STGs, oh, my enemy has bolt action rifles. If you know you're having low-level equipment and you're playing against sweatlords with too strong equipment compared to you, guess what? You can position yourself further away, you can play more safely and hide or like be close to walls and to windows, hide a little bit on 50 to 100 meter distance, and just try to snipe enemies with your bolt actions. This way you can outplay almost every single overpowered weapon in the game. And it also trains your aim, by the way. But no matter how strong the enemy equipment is, you always can get an edge. You obviously don't want to rush in with bolt action short range. Unless you're really good with them, then you can do it. But in general, they can help you in situations which are usually very hard to solve. Now, number 2 reason is they are quite cheap. And quite cheap means they basically always cost only 1 silver. And they're also quite cheap to upgrade. And whenever you upgrade a weapon to the last star, it gives you some really strong advantages. Not only does it make it more precise, faster and more damage, but also your bots are going to be much better with it. You always want to make sure your bots are max level and the weapons they're using are max level, because then the bots start becoming ridiculously deadly. And if you want to play on a budget and if you're low on silver or bronze, just giving your bots high level bolt actions can make them already really strong. And whenever you take your 7-man squad, you will notice you're fighting with one soldier, he gets possibly 2 or 3 kills and dies, but your bots, everyone got around 1 kill too. So this is really nice. And the last thing is, if you compare them to the weapons that usually come above them, the semi-auto rifles, well, the really good bolt action rifles are usually better than the bad to medium semi-auto rifles. So once again, you can get a good advantage of just keeping the bolt action rifles and not replacing them all instantly with semi-autos, because usually it's always worth waiting until you get the really good semi-autos, because only the really good semi-autos are actually better than the good bolt action rifles. At number 4 we have bot optimization. Well, this is something most players don't even know exists, but yes, it exists. You can actually impact the behavior of your bots and make them as strong as possible. Now, once the new game system comes out, meaning the big update, I'm going to do a specific video about it, since they're going to change some properties, I'm very sure. But here I can give you the fast summary already. You want to have your bots on maximum aggressiveness, because if they don't have maximum aggressiveness, they shoot slower at enemies. And shooting slower at enemies means you got your sniper bot with a very good sniper rifle. Congratulations, he won't snipe anyone, because he's on defense stance. And he will only snipe someone if someone shoots at him, meaning the random Soviet with a PPSH that's 2 meters in front of him. So yeah, you want your bots on maximum aggressiveness, because all the good weapons, some weapons are ridiculously overpowered when bots use them. For example, machine guns. Even the bad ones with horrible sights, horrible recoil, horrible everything, only 20 magazine size. Bots literally don't care what machine gun they have. The only thing they care about is it a machine gun, because that's how it's coded. If it's a machine gun, he's gonna shoot bursts of 3 bullets. And he's gonna hit with those, especially as I already said, if everything is leveled up highly. And then he's gonna completely slaughter your enemies. But once again, only if they're maximum aggressiveness. If they're not maximum aggressiveness, they won't react quickly to your enemies and won't shoot them down, or won't even search for them. Another thing is, if your bots are too passive, they are gonna be too close to you. And guess what? Instant death from a grenade or from an explosion or from a high explosive shell or from flamethrowers. So having bots that are free and run around, that behave more like actual humans and real soldiers, much better. Another thing is, once again, make sure you level the bots and their weapons up very highly. And the last thing, make sure you mark a lot, because your bots are reacting to whatever you're marking. And if you mark rarely, they're not looking at something. You can even mark an enemy 200 meters away that's hiding somewhere. Also a sniper that's hiding somewhere in a tower. if you mark him, your bots are gonna shoot at him. And you know how well bots aim in this game. Exactly. So this solves lots of issues. Make sure you're marking, once again, by binding your marking key to the clicking to the shooting button. And then you're gonna automatically mark. This is the best way to play the game, because this way you also give your teammates hundreds of times during a game information where enemies are. It also has the disadvantage of that whenever you're building something, you're also gonna mark on the ground. But guess what? Smart team members are gonna see, oh no, we just started the game 2 seconds ago. Is there an enemy behind our lines? No, it's me building a rally point. All right. And for the last point, oh, good transition, rally points. I absolutely tried my best to not include this point in the list, but there's literally no helping it. Rally points are absolutely the most important thing in the game if you want to be a really good player. Now here's the reason, and I'm noticing most players, most means way above 99%, still don't understand how impactful rally points really are. Imagine you have the following situation as a model. You have one objective in the center, one team left, one team right. Both teams are spawning left, right in the natural spawn, and they're running towards the objective. Then they are fighting on the objective, dying, and then they're spawning again on the far left and far right and have to run again towards the objective. Now, if both teams are on average removed 100 meters by their natural spawn from the objective, you're gonna get quite the fair and balanced game if they're constantly spawning on exactly these points. Now imagine what happens when one team builds rally points, a bunch of rally points 50 meters around the objective. Now guess what? Now they only have to run half as long. Now to what does this lead? It leads to the following situation. For a short amount of time, you're gonna have twice as much of one team on the objective than of the other team, because they can run towards the objective two times as fast as the slow team, because the slow team has to run twice as much. Now this state though is only transitionary, because once you create a situation where one team has a strong numerical advantage over the other team, this team is gonna demolish the other team completely. And now the other team is completely wiped, and they have to go back to their noob gray zone and spawn there and noob peasant walk back to the objective. While you, like the true chats that you are, spawn on your ready points that are close and you quickly get on the objective. Now this is going to give you lots of time to do, if you're an attacker, to just cap quickly and the defenders won't have any chance. Or if you're a defender, you can start building rallies, even flanking or even closer to the enemy spawn than to your own objective and completely outperform them. Or you can start preparing the objective with engineer structures, you can place mines, you can start scouting, you can get into some really complicated to get positions in, like towers, but then you have a really nice superior position. You can run around the map, build some machine guns far away, well hidden. You can do all of the stuff that you can do if you get enough time. And normal players never get into a situation like that because they're noobing around, running around like idiots because they don't build ready points. So this is the thing. This advantage of having twice as many soldiers in this theoretical scenario is only short, because it's gonna completely turn around and it won't be twice forever, it will be 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And then there's absolutely no chance for the other team. So you see, ready points are absolutely important because they virtually increase the amount of players you have on the objective. This is what they do. They just virtually increase the team size and the intensity, the power of your team. And there's nothing else in the game that can do it as effectively as ready points. So ready points are the most important thing in the game. Once again, I guess I have to say it every year once in a video because people forget it or don't take it serious enough. So yeah, absolutely important, rally points. And I will make a video, a very deep, detailed strategy guide about rally points, because you can do some absolutely insane stuff with them. I think I lose only like 1 out of every 10 games. Now I guess even less, 1 out of every 20 games. Because if you literally just build rallies and if you play with people, you make sure those people build rallies, I solo queue half of the time, and I spam rallies around 10 to 20 times every game. And most of the time, some people actually listen. And when I see, alright, 2 or 3 people started building rallies, I know, alright, we're gonna win this game. Because if I don't see at least 2 or 3 enemy rally point builders too in the stat sheet, I know they don't have a chance. So rally points, absolutely important. And they're gonna make the game also fun because you're not playing running simulator anymore. You're actually playing a nice World War II game. If you want to watch some really cool and fun or insane or high performance or tricky game footage, I'm uploading 10 to 50 second clips on Instagram. I don't spam my YouTube channel full of them because YouTube wants them to be in the completely stupid upside down cell phone TikTok format, which looks very ugly in my opinion. So yeah, I'm posting them all on Instagram, around 1 clip per day. So you have a nice little library of cool, entertaining clips. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe here so you get all of the other strategy guides. I'm gonna spam a lot of nice strategy guides because I'm holding back until the new system comes out, and once it comes out you're gonna get all the info. So stay tuned until then and let me know what you think in the comments below, which advice or which thing impressed you the most, or give us your ideas and we're gonna read and discuss. Until next time, goodbye.